Unlocking marital bliss.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Unlocking Marital Bliss with Miss Iris Rod. It's always an honor for me to be able to share the greatness and the happiness of marriage. Living in a generation where marriage is so tough for many people and many people find it so hard, I've always told you and I keep saying that marriage is easy, ignorance is hard. So I do not believe that marriage is hard. You that are watching and you're there and you're thinking, what is he talking about? Is he okay? Is he sane? I am more than sane. I am intelligent. I am wise. I am enjoying the fullness of marriage. I've been married for over 20 years, happily married, okay? I've never heard anything to think about like, oh, it's never gonna happen. 20 years of marriage, 20 years of marriage. Very excited and happily married. So I wanna show you something. If it's 20 years of marriage, how did I get over here? How am I enjoying it? How am I moving forward? This is why we always come over here as Unlocking Marital Bliss to be able to share the realities, the truth, so that you may be able to follow in it and never look back. And tonight, when I say I've been married for 20 years because marriage is easy, many people have a problem with that statement. When I say marriage is easy, they have a problem with it. But don't worry, it's gonna be easy. And I'll say it again. And by the time I'm done with this show, you will not remain the same. You will totally see it the way I see it. Marriage is easy. And tonight, we're gonna be able to stand up and celebrate and look at the far I've come. 20 years of marital bliss. I am not just ministering to you. I'm not just coming over here each and every time to just pass. No, I'm living this thing. I'm sharing what I'm living because I do not know of any other show, on TV that can dare talk about marriage like we do over here at UBC. Not any other show that can dare talk about it because others are just only playing around it. Others don't even know what they're saying. But over here, we tell you the realities. We're living it. We're not just coming up for a show. We're living it. It's real. Okay? That's what I want you to understand. I've been married for 20 years. I've known this girl for 23 years. Okay? And we've been married for 20 and we're still counting. And it just gets better and better and better and better each and every other day. So I want you to understand, when I talk about I've been married for 20 years, you're going to be asking me, how did you do it? How did you make it? How did you pull it off? It is not rocket science. It is so easy. Anything that is hard is only hard because you're ignorant. Okay? I'll give you a very good example. When you ask me to come and try to fix your TV because it's not working, I can sweat plasma. I can struggle over there because I don't have a clue on how to fix TVs. If a TV is broken and you call Cyrus Rod to come and fix the TV, I'll sweat plasma, and after 24 hours or 48 or whatever, you will have nothing. Why? Because to me, it's very hard. Why is it very hard? Because I'm ignorant when it comes to fixing TVs. I am very, very ignorant, so I cannot be able to help you at all with fixing your TV. The same truth comes when marriage shows up. Marriage is not hard. The reason many of you are saying that marriage is hard is because you are IGNORANT, ignorant. That's why you say it's hard. But I'm not ignorant. That's why I say it's easy. A person who knows how to fix a TV will say, come on, just do this and this, and it's done. They're principles. He knows the realities. He knows the principles. And that makes marriage easy. Marriage is not hard, I repeat. The reason it's hard is because you are ignorant. That's why marriage is hard. But if you're not ignorant, how can you say marriage is hard? It's so easy. For example, I cannot say marriage is hard. Why? It's so easy for me. Why? I got the knowledge. Fixing TV, that's too hard for me. trying to carry out surgery on a human being, on a human eye. I can't even imagine. How do these guys do it? It's too hard. Well, it's my ignorance that will say it's too hard. But when we come to marriage, marriage is easy. That's why I celebrated 20 years this very year. 20 years of a great marriage. What brought me this far? This is what I want to share with you. 20 years of a great marriage. Can you imagine? 20 years. Happily married, and I keep increasing and increasing and increasing. If you're going to have a great marriage, and if you're going to celebrate it, because many of you will be asking, oh, how do you do it? Knowledge. If you have knowledge, you have strength. So if you're going to have a great marriage, this is what I can bring to you. And if you're going to celebrate it, you need knowledge. What knowledge are you talking about? The knowledge I'm bringing out to you for a great marriage, for a wonderful celebration, is this. I'll show you this. When you are married, okay, or when you think about marriage, you got to get the knowledge. Tonight, it's my anniversary. I'm not saying I'm celebrating it tonight, but this is what we're talking about, the power of celebrating anniversaries. Yes, this is why I start by laying a foundation, the power of celebrating anniversaries. You never take it for granted. You see, I'm having a happy marriage, a great marriage, wonderful. The Lord has blessed me. Why? I know the principles. I know the dynamics. Nothing happens as an accident. Nothing just happens automatically. Many of you are married and you're struggling. You thought it was going to be automatic. No, it's not automatic. Marriage is work. Marriage is work. Now, what are the realities you need to know if you're going to enjoy a great anniversary each and every moment? Because somebody's going to ask, why do you celebrate anniversaries? That's a waste of resources. That's a show off. That's too much. It's because you're ignorant. Okay? Ignorant people have a lot of excuses of why they don't do what they do, rather than humbling themselves and saying, I'm ignorant, can you teach me? Thank God tonight I'm ready to teach you. And I'm going to show you exactly how we work it out and how it gets fixed. First and foremost, marriage. What is marriage? It's the union of two people as one. That's marriage. Union of two people as one. Now, when you understand that marriage is a union, it's a coming together. Who created marriage? Where did marriage come from? These are the basics you must understand when it comes, if you're going to have a great marriage, if you're going to see marriage as easy, the way I see it. You must discover, these principles can never be broken. You must discover who created marriage. Number one, who created marriage? Because you're going to be thinking, oh, who created marriage? Really? Who did it? Oh, I guess it was done by our legislators. No. It was done by Playboy. No. It was done by Hollywood. No. Oh, our culture, our tribe. No. Marriage actually comes from God. Marriage originates from God. Now, when you understand the origin of marriage, that it originates from God, then you get to know that actually anything, let it be culture, let it be legislation, let it be human beings or actors or whatever, they don't have a say. They can only follow what God says because God has the copyright. So if God has the copyright, you can only follow what he says. So marriage originated from God. And if marriage originated from God, what should you do? How are you going to handle this? Marriage originated from God. This is what we're going to do. If it came from God, then that means God owns marriage. You get it? He has the copyright. It originated from God and he owns it. That's number two. Marriage came from God, originated from God. Number two, he owns it. You get it? If he owns it, then what about me? I thought it's my marriage. Well, you're a steward. You are a steward. Okay? So marriage originated from God. He owns it. He's the owner. He's the origin. You get it? Very powerful tools over there. If God is the owner and the origin, then what about me? You're a steward. Human beings do not own. Human beings before God are stewards. Okay? So a steward is required to be faithful. So if marriage originated from God, you do not own it. How are you going to succeed in it? How is it going to be so beautiful for you? You're going to make sure that you listen to the owner. What does the owner say about marriage? What does the owner say about marriage? The owner declares he created it. How are you going to run it? That's what the owner says. When did he start it? When you look at Genesis, he says something so powerful. Many of you, over 80%, you read the Bible. Now listen, when you look at Genesis chapter 2, from verse 22 downwards, he shows you something. That God creates a female, brings them out from the man, from the side of the man. And when he creates this female from the side of the man, by taking a rib or the side, forms the woman, brings the woman to the man. When he brings the woman to the man says something. He declares clearly, this now is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman. Bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh, she shall be called woman. Okay? What man is doing is agreeing with what God had already called this creature. God created a woman or formed the woman. Okay? And she shall be called woman because she was taken out of the man. Okay? So if she was taken out of the man, and it's the reason she's called woman, there's something more to it. You're getting to understand. He never said blood of my blood. He said flesh of my flesh. Why? When I see you, I see me. We are equal. There's one other reality, that because God created marriage, the first thing that the man got when he saw the woman was a revelation of equality. A revelation of equality. You have the same bones I have. You're just like me. You just are like me. Revelation of equality. Thank you. Now you're getting to know exactly these things that have helped me celebrate 20 years. Revelation of equality. When man got the revelation of equality, that you are just like me, that's when God came in and said, for this reason, or therefore comes in to explain what has happened. Okay? Therefore comes in to explain a certain thing that has happened so that you may go forward. Oh, for this reason. Oh, this is the purpose, okay, of marriage. That's another thing you get to know. This is why I've made 20 years of bliss. 20 of bliss, and I'm still counting. And God is so good to me. I'm happy. When I hear you people struggling, I'm thinking it's ignorance. Not that marriage is hard. What God does is always easy. What man does is always hard. Marriage is not hard. It's easy. So this is what has brought me to 20 years, discovering the purpose. Now, when you discover the purpose, there's one thing I want to bring to you that you can be able to understand when you discover the purpose. Because it said, for this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. I'll show you some reality over here. Marriage started with God. He's the origin. He's the owner. If he's the owner, what about me? You're a steward. What do stewards do? Stewards do exactly what the owner wants. How about that? Now, for this reason, a man shall leave. What reason? To the fact that you were one. Before I pulled the woman out of you, you were one. And because you were one, I pulled her out. And now you have the revelation that actually you're equal, that she came out of you. Now go get her and bring her back. Go grab her and bring her back so that you be one again. You bring her back and you be one again. Now notice, he says you leave your father, you leave your mother, and then you go. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, or shall cleave to his wife. That is, glue to the wife. In all these words, he has not even mentioned emotions. He hasn't mentioned emotions. And this is the reality. Many of you come together in marriage because you're attracted emotionally, physically, and psychologically. But you see, marriage is not about emotional attraction, physical attraction, psychological attraction. Marriage is about the oneness. Hey, go grab the other woman, bring her back, and be one. That's why marriage can't be with more than one. It can only be with one, because God never moved 2 ribs out of the man. He never removed 6 ribs. He never removed 8 ribs. He removed 1 out of the man, and he formed the woman so that it is only one. Okay? There are no emotions. I know God created us, and you look at a woman, and we men look at a woman and she's beautiful and you're attracted. That's initiation. But the reality is this: when it comes to marriage, it's not about how attracted you can be. It's about, can you produce the oneness? Because that's the purpose. The oneness. Why the oneness? I want you to understand, and understand very well, that if you're going to succeed in marriage, you got to listen to the owner of marriage and what the owner of marriage is saying, because you don't own marriage. That's why many of you, every marriage that fails, you first own it. Every marriage that collapses is because you owned it. When you owned it, you started doing what makes you feel good and not what the truth is. Not what the owner wants, but what you want. And you're going to say, but hey, look over here, Cyrus. I can do what I want. It's my marriage. No, it's not your marriage. It belongs to God. God has the highest stakes in this marriage. Okay? He created it for himself. He's got to gain glory. Okay? When 2 become one, God gains the glory. When 2 become one, God gains the glory. So it's about God. So for you to succeed and celebrate like I have been able to, is you have to take a moment and acknowledge God owns the marriage. So I'm going to do whatever he tells me to do. What is the purpose of marriage? For this reason, is for give God glory through a reunion. So the purpose of marriage is not to have kids. The purpose of marriage is not to have kids. I know you can feel like, come on, Cyrus. True. If the purpose of marriage was to have kids, then many of the people that don't have kids, they just walk away. They say, she is not giving birth. That's cultural thinking. That's ignorance. If she ain't giving birth, go look for kids. The purpose of marriage wasn't to have kids. The purpose of marriage wasn't even to have sex. Oh, yeah. I know this can kind of disturb you because your tradition has told you otherwise. I'm a happily married man. I believe I'm the greatest, happiest husband and father in the whole world. I know that's for you to debate. Okay? But I am happily married, greatly married. Okay? And I speak with conviction and with knowledge, not out of ignorance. Okay? So when I say you got to come and you discover we come together, marriage is not for children. That's why for you who think marriage is for children, the first thing you do when you don't have a child, you walk away. And when you walk away, you say, I'm looking for a child. You don't even know what love is. You don't even know any of that. Okay? But you see, the owner of marriage is called love, because God is love. And he gives you principles upon which to operate, and they are called love. Some of you have been told, oh, your love is not enough. I have good news for you. If love is not enough, nothing will be enough. Somebody asked me, are we going to eat love for dinner? It's because you don't know love. When you know love, I'm telling you, you will see how God can cause you to grow and how love can supply. If a man has knowledge and knows every book but has no love, he's empty. If a man can sacrifice and give everything but has no love, they are a waste. Love is the greatest of all, okay? And it's love that brings you to that point where you will say, I love the owner of marriage, and he has given me the power to love my spouse. And because he has given me the power to do that, I'm going to do as he wills. What does it mean to do as he wills? This is what he means. I don't do as I want. I do as he wills. And in marriage, first of all, his purpose. Purpose of marriage is not to have children. The purpose of marriage is to give God glory through two becoming one. That's Genesis. Okay? As you give him glory by the oneness, that's when marriage can flourish and it will be happy and it will endure. Okay? So this is what happens. Purpose of marriage is known. You know the origin. You know the owner. You know the purpose. When purpose is fulfilled, or when purpose is known, okay, fulfillment is realized. When purpose is known, fulfillment is realized. Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. This is why many of you, your marriages are nothing but a den of abuse. Why? Because you don't know purpose. Some of you thought you got married to have sex. All those are benefits. Children are benefits. Sex is a benefit. But the reality is you lay down your life. You love somebody like Christ loved you, like God loves us, so that you're willing to literally spend yourself so that they can benefit. That is what it's all about. Okay? You spend yourself so that they can benefit. Some of you will say, well, if it's going to be marriage, it's about the money. No, love can produce money, but money can't produce love. That's the problem. Many of you guys, you go around saying, I want to make a lot of money, and then I go for the girl. Well, money doesn't produce love. You'll get an investor who needs some money to go and invest somewhere, but you're never going to find love. It doesn't work like that. So, having told you that, I want you to understand there's purpose, and purpose is about you fulfilling it. How do you fulfill the purpose? This is what you need to understand, because it's about you becoming one. How do you fulfill purpose? This is a great foundation. How do you do that? By doing what the master wants. When two people come together, usually it's about expectations. When two people come together, it's expectations. And when it's expectations, this is what many of you have been told. Make sure expectations are okay. Make sure your expectations are met. I got good news for you. Marriage is not yours. Marriage is owned by God. Expectations are only met when you do what the owner wants. Yes, you have your own expectations, but what about the owner of marriage? What is he expecting of you as a husband? What does he expect of you as a wife? What does he expect? When you pursue what the owner expects of you, you will see a oneness. You will see a coming together. When you pursue what the owner expects, when you pursue your own expectations, this is what happens. When you pursue your own expectations, you'll begin seeing your spouse as a stumbling block, as a hindrance to your expectations. And this is why many of you will fall apart. The war begins. Peace disappears in your marriage. Conflict comes in. Why? Because my expectations are not met. How about God's expectations? He created you. How about his expectations? Are you really doing what he expects of you as a husband? Are you doing what he expects of you as a wife? Let's find the answer when I come back in a minute.
Unlocking marital bliss. Unlocking marital bliss.
Thank you so much for returning. You're just still watching Unlocking Marital Bliss with me, Cyrus Rod. And I'm talking about why I celebrated 20 years. Because it's been great. It's the power of celebrating your anniversary. Why I had to celebrate, okay? And before we took a break, I'm giving you a foundation. I know what I'm doing. I'm not struggling. Many of you are not celebrating because you don't have a reason. You're struggling. You're in conflict. There is no peace. The purpose of marriage has never been fulfilled because the purpose of marriage is to becoming one. It's so fulfilling. It's so wonderful. It's so beautiful. Can't be even put in words enough. It's so beautiful. So I say, when two come together, how are you going to see this oneness come in? When two come together, you need to understand this. When two come together, many of you come together because it's about expectations. But I want to warn you, when you look at expectations and you think about, this is my expectation, this is what I'm going to be doing, this is what I expect from you as a husband, you got to do this for me, you got to do this for me. And the woman and the husband goes, I expect this from you, my expectations, my expectations, my expectations. I got good news for you. As long as it's about you, when the man pursues his expectations, never forget this. The woman becomes a stumbling block for him. When the woman pursues her expectations in this marriage, the husband becomes a stumbling block. And that's the birth of conflict in marriage. My expectations are not met. I'm being ignored. My expectations. And why ain't your expectations being met? Because you blame the spouse. They're not doing this. They're not doing the other. They're not doing this. Oh, yeah, I'm being truthful. They're not doing it. Yes, you're being truthful. They're not doing it. But you see, that's not the real problem. Because the real problem begins with you. I'll show you exactly what I mean. The real problem begins with you. Because you have expectations. Okay? But you've ignored what God expects of you. For example, when I met my wife 23 years ago, I knew I was going to marry her. And I looked at her and I said, I'm going to love you so good that I'll make you the envy of the nations. And she looked at me. She didn't even understand what I was talking about. She was like, you're crazy. Because she didn't even believe anybody could love her like that. She didn't even believe anybody could be that good to her. You know? Why? Because ignorance has spread all around, and many of you have seen many people failing in marriage, and many of you young people now believe marriage is hard. Why? Because of many people that are losers out there. Some of you will say, oh, you're condemning me. I ain't condemning nobody. I'm just being honest with you, because God's purpose for marriage has never changed. It's still the same. So it's we that fail him, we human beings. But I met this girl, I said, I'm going to love you forever, and I'll make you an envy of nations. And I've been able to do it. She looks back and says, when I looked at her, she was a very proud girl. I never gave up. I said, I came to love you. I started being there for her, laying down my life for her, being able to tell her, this is not proper, correcting her. She would say, I don't like that. But I said, that's how we're going to do. But you know what many of you do? When she doesn't like the correction, you learn how to keep quiet. When you learn how to keep quiet, oh my goodness, you become a hypocrite. And you still call it marriage. You become a hypocrite because you cover up and you call it peace. You don't know how peace is formed. Peace doesn't come because you do not bring the truth out. Peace comes because you are able to have it. Real peace comes out of war. You come out and you say, this is the truth. If somebody's offended, you simply say, that's the truth. They repent and they're able to change. Throwing tantrums makes you appear like a child. So I told my girl, look over here, marriage is about us growing. We're going to grow. As we grow, we manifest the character of God, and then God receives glory. Two becoming one. When we become one, that means we tell the whole world that there is one God. That's why God hates divorce. Why? Because it affects his image of oneness. Oneness. It affects his image of oneness. I want you to understand, when the image of God is affected, he's not receiving the glory that is due him. He's not receiving it. That's why I can be able to stand and say, if two are going to stand and enjoy marriage, they pursue what God expects of them. God expects of me as a husband to wash, to clean my wife, to make sure she's good, not to send her to her aunties, to send her to her daddy, not to send her away. I'll tell you this. When I met my wife, she's so good. My wife is a great cook. Yes, she's a great cook. When we started, she's even far better now, greater than you've ever imagined. You would think she can even start her own restaurant. No. She only does it for me and her babies. So, and those who come to visit us. But I'll show you something here. When she came in, I'm a man who used to enjoy maize flour mingled together. You call it partial, mingled together. And it would be mingled. The first time she came and prepared me that maize flour meal, I was like, honey, this is wrong. And she said, sure? It was like porridge. And I said, come here. And I got hold of, I said, this is how we do it. Told her, we did the boiling in. She had never prepared any maize flour meal in her life. She wasn't eating that kind of stuff. She had never prepared it. And so I told her, we prepared the water. I knew how to do everything. I'm the one. That's what God expects of me. God doesn't expect me to send her back to her parents. God, that is stupidity. That is ignorance. That is why many of you can't celebrate your anniversaries, because you have nothing you've invested in. I'm celebrating my anniversary because I've invested so much in this girl. Number one, and I'm telling the world that marriage works. That's number two. And I'm grateful to God. That is the ultimate reason. I'm grateful to God. In a world where marriages are breaking, I'm succeeding. In a marriage where marriages are falling apart, you can succeed. I want you to understand, in a world where marriages are falling apart, when you succeed, you need to appreciate God. You need to come to God and say, thank you so much. 20 years of marriage, happy marriage, 20 years. I'm grateful to God. You know, we are together. There is peace in us. Why do I say there is peace? Because we are revealing God, the oneness of God. There is peace. When you look at the peace, okay, when I mention peace and I say there is peace, ladies and gentlemen, I really mean there is peace, because the meaning of oneness, one is a person, that is God. He's one God, okay? He's by himself, nothing more. Peace is a person, and he's still God. You can call him Jesus. He's called peace, okay? And this is what happens. If he is peace, what's the meaning of peace? Some of you say the absence of hostility. No, I can choose not to fight you. That is not peace. I can choose to keep quiet. That is not peace. And many of you, that's how your marriages are. You don't have peace because you don't have oneness. Peace is oneness. Let me say it again. Peace is oneness. Whole. Everything is together. Nothing missing, nothing broken. It's peace. It's oneness. Are you like that with your wife? Many of you ignore the anniversaries because you got nothing to celebrate. You got nothing to celebrate. You ignore it. You think it's a waste of resources. But we are saying we are celebrating what God can do in our lives. I was a very angry man, and God delivered me from it. And I knew how to be peaceful with my wife. And it's peace. The more I fulfill what God expects of me as a husband, and she does what God expects of her as a wife, the more peace floods, because it's oneness. That's our oneness. And when oneness is in, God is receiving glory because his purpose is being fulfilled, the reason he created marriage. Okay? Some of you like to say, you say it was for sex. It was what? No, that's ignorance. Sex, those are benefits. Okay? The real goal is give him glory through oneness. When you give him glory through oneness, oneness is peace. And I assure you, and I say this to you, I've been married 20 years. I celebrated this. I carried my children. They came to support. They came to stand and learn from me. Because one thing a father does, you're supposed to, that's why fathers never go away. I tell people fathers never leave. Okay? I'm supposed to stay no matter what. Why? Because the family has to imitate me. I'm supposed to be the number one example. Family has to imitate me. If the family cannot imitate, if I go, who are they going to imitate? That's where children get lost. Fathers must stay. So I called my sons and I told my firstborn and I said, Cyrus, you carry my name. I want you to learn from me. Okay? Not any other. I'm here to guide you. This is it. You never ignore how far God has brought you. 20 years, you're going to be my best man because I've taught you much and you're still growing. So I never want anything less than me. In fact, I dare you to be better than me. And that's what I told him. I told my second boy the same. I want you to come and be part because we're going to push this together. I told my daughter, I want you to learn how a man treats a woman. I am the example. I am the standard in the house. And this is what you need to know as men. I'm the standard. I set the pace. I am the standard. I set the pace. So 20 years, as we celebrated, I called all of them. People gathered together and we celebrated 20 years. Thanking God for the 5 years brought us. You can celebrate your birthday. Why not celebrate your marriage? Because many of you come together emotionally, psychologically, physically, but never spiritually, and there is no commitment. When the emotions go down, your love goes down. When physical attraction dies, your whole love life dies. I want you to understand, when physical attraction dies, you even claim my love life is no more. Marriage is about commitment, okay? Because we've become one. How can we be separated? I'm committed to her. We can't be separated. Marriage is about commitment. I want you to understand and understand it so well. When you think marriage is about something else, you have missed it. Marriage is about commitment. That's why people in the old days, even in the Bible days, parents could arrange the marriage and it would thrive so well. Even when the girl has never met the boy, they come together, it's arranged, and they thrive because it was about commitment. It was about oneness. In a generation where we are, it's about my selfishness. How do I make it? I don't like this. I don't need this. Hey. Go back to your mother. Go back to your father. That's childish. You never grow. And when it comes to me, because I'm supposed to be the standard, and I challenge you, man, you are supposed to be the standard that the whole house imitates. You hear me? That means you have to grow. I've gone through this where I've learned where I'm growing, and I've learned what love is, because you never get to know it until you're in marriage. And you know the depth of love. So I want you to understand one reality. When you choose to follow and fulfill the purpose, and you say, I am getting married, it's not about how you feel, because many of you say love is based on feelings. Feelings are not love. Feelings are fickle. Feelings are not love. Love ain't based on feelings. Love is a choice. Never forget that. I'm celebrating 20 years and I'm saying love is a choice. You wake up in the morning, this is what happens to you. Your wife does something and you don't like it and you say, I don't love you anymore. That was never love in the first place. Some of you are saying, well, my love has come to an end. Your love has come to an end. It was not love in the first place because love never ends. That's why it's commitment. When you marry, love never ends. You never had it in the first place. You met each other, you got the emotions boiling, the hormones were all rolling and boiling in you, and you got together. Now you don't feel nothing anymore. When you don't feel nothing anymore, you say, I better get a new woman and it will work out. That's a lie. You don't need a new woman. You need love. You need to understand what love is. You don't need a new man. You need to understand what love is. If you understand what love is, and you're telling somebody, I love you, that will change you. What does those three words mean? I love you. What do they mean? I love you. To many of you, when somebody says, I love you, this is what you think. Oh, I'm so excited. They make me feel good. Oh, it's so nice. We had good sex. Oh, no. Some of you, those words come out because somebody's giving you something. And then you say, I love you. No. Let me tell you what I love you means. And those are the words I spoke to my wife 23 years ago when I first met her. I never met a girlfriend. I met a wife. Because the Bible don't say he who finds a girlfriend. No, I'll start with a wife. That's the commitment of love. Love is committed. So when I talk about commitment, I'm talking about love. That's why when you hear somebody tell you, oh no, I don't need a ring. I don't need a ring. These rings are nothing. I got two on mine. These rings are nothing. I don't need them. I can do better than that. The reality is this. The rings are not nothing. You just do not know what love is, because love is commitment. This is a seal. These are her rings that I am taken up. I'm in a covenant with her, not a contract. Okay? You see, in a covenant, I can only go out by death. Not by anything she does or anything. She can do anything and I still love her. Because love is committed. Love never ends. It never ends. Many of you are watching and you're thinking, I don't feel anything anymore. Love was never a feeling. You don't feel anything anymore. Love was never a feeling and will never be a feeling. When I say I love you, this is what I mean. When I say I love you, it is I have made a conscious decision to seek what is best for you at my expense. That is love. If it's not love, it's going to be fear. And fear will trigger lust in you. So what is lust? Lust is I have made a conscious decision to seek what is best for me at your expense. I use you. Many couples are using each other. But now, look at the things I've learned. Look at what I'm going through. I mean, at one time I used to be angry. I couldn't control my anger. Why? Many of us as males, we believe being angry is part of being a man. Anger is not bad. But where anger controls you, that's bad. I never knew I had it. Getting married in the first months, I yelled at my wife and she said, you never talk to me like that again. And I say, God, what is this? And God told me it's time to grow. Many of you never grow. That's why you hear women saying men never grow. No, it's not that they never grow. It's their pride stops them from growing. And pride only settles in the hearts of fools. So if you're a man and you think you can do whatever you want, that's pride. That's not love. That's being a fool. That's not love. That's being a fool. And I want you to overcome it. I want you to understand. You can celebrate 20 years like I've done. Many of you come to 20 years and you're dragging each other. Why? He did this, he did this. There is no love. You know why? There is no love. Love is peace. But it's not there. And if it's not there, what should you do? If it's not there, what should you do? Resolve the conflict. How are you ever going to resolve this conflict? Many of you are in conflict. That celebration is uncalled for. How are you going to resolve this conflict? I got good news for you. If you're going to resolve the conflict, it begins by you having peace. You can't have peace by changing the external. Peace begins with inside. You make peace with God, and then you can have peace. When you have peace in yourself, you can release peace on the outside. When you don't have peace in yourself and you have strife and conflict, you will release it on the outside. But how do I get peace in myself? It begins with my relationship with the owner of marriage, that is Christ. I submit to him. I do what he wants me to do. I pursue that. And when I do that, guess what happens? As I do that, my whole life is changed. I receive peace and quietness. I understand what unconditional love means. I'm at peace. I am not scared. No matter what my wife does, she will find love waiting for her. Come on. Love waiting for her. And that's why she has been able to grow, and I've been able to grow, and that is called peace. If you are ever going to enjoy and be able to celebrate, and you want to resolve conflict, it begins with peace. When you have peace with yourself through Christ, you can have peace with your spouse. How do you do that? You submit to whatever God tells you to do. You don't seek what you want to do. You seek what God wants you to do. That's the peace. You seek what God wants you to do. That's called peace. And you will have peace with yourself. When that is done, remember, you're equal. Because conflict will always begin by the man believing or the woman believing, I am greater than you. When you believe I am greater than you, we are not equal, then you'll always try to put me down. When you try to put me down, I will push back. And in pushing back, that is the conflict. Because all of us are created in the image of God, male and female, in the image of God. But now we're in conflict because I think I'm better than you, and you think you're better than me. And when you believe that you're better than me, conflict will begin. And when conflict begins, there is no peace. But I'm here to tell you this. Whatever it takes, I want you to embrace you and God and start appreciating the woman God gave you. I'm celebrating 20 years. God gave me a beautiful woman. 20 years, I've taken care of her. I buy her panties, I buy her bra, I buy her dress, I fix her hair. Everything is on me. And I started that even when it appeared that I didn't have money. I used the little I had to take care of her because that's what is expected of me from God. I never said, how do we do this? No, I stood as a man and took care of her. Let me tell you this. When you stand as a man and you take care of your spouse, you're appreciating her. You're honoring her. You're respecting her. These are the things I've done for 20 years. I respect my spouse. I honor her. I appreciate her. Whatever you value appreciates. Whatever you appreciate gains value. Whatever you value appreciates. Whatever you appreciate gains value. If you appreciate your spouse, and I want to speak to the man as I wind this up. If you appreciate your spouse, irrespective of what they've done, and you just say, honey, you're so beautiful. Honey, I love you. You speak that because you're committed, not because you feel it, because love is not a feeling. Before long, the words you speak about her, is how you'll begin feeling about them. If you say, my wife is a nutcase, she's a loser, she's this, she's evil, she's ugly, you will feel bad about her. When you say, my spouse is beautiful, is amazing, you will feel good about them. So the way you're feeling right now is based on how you've been speaking about your spouse and to your spouse? Are you appreciating them? That's why anniversary is about appreciation, celebration. God has been so good to me. 20 years, 23 having met her, 20 years when we got married, and it's been bliss. And I challenge you guys. I've told you a few, just basics, okay? When we're going out of here, please learn to celebrate. The Bible commands us, rejoice with the wife of your youth. How can you not celebrate an anniversary when the Bible commands you to do it? Rejoice with the wife of your youth. I'm rejoicing with you, Robbie, and I'll forever do that. And whatever happens, I will always love you. And nothing's gonna change my love for you. Nothing. Because I am not an ignorant man. I'm a man of knowledge. I know what love is. Nothing can stop me from loving you. I've committed to you, and I'm gonna celebrate you, and I'll always make sure you're happy because that's my assignment from God. God commanded me in Deuteronomy to make you happy. It's my assignment. I will always do that, baby. Never forget it. Cyrus will always be here for you. And there'll never be another woman to compete with you, to even dare get close. I will always celebrate you, girl, now and forevermore. I love you. And to all my viewers, that's me and Robbie. How about you and her? Guys, how about you and her? Where's your status? How are you standing? Now, don't throw a tantrum. I know it's always leave me alone. Shut that man off the TV. I'm still here, baby. I'm helping you enjoy what I'm enjoying. Marriage is easy. Ignorance is hard. See you next time.
Unlocking marital bliss.